Welcome back to the Act ASAP podcast. We're here to talk about leadership, communication, preparedness, and what it really takes to protect what matters most when disruption shows up. Hello there. My name is Daniel Kilburn, and today I want to talk about something I came across this week that immediately caught my attention. I was reading an article about the Connecticut National Guard, specifically their 130th Public Affairs Detachment. They had just completed a crisis communication exercise called Yankee Thunder. Now, on the surface, some people might say, okay, military training, what else is new? And being a former senior infantry drill sergeant, I totally understand that because in the military, we trained a lot. So as we read deeper, we see something much bigger in the whole concept here. We see proof about something that I have been teaching you for years. Proof of the core message behind my book. That's right, this one, of why plans don't prepare you. And here is what stood out. The National Guard wasn't sitting around writing another emergency plan. They were not holding another meeting about what might happen. They were not reviewing a binder. They were practicing. They simulated a hurricane. They created realistic chaos. They practiced handling media inquiries. They rehearsed message approvals. They worked through leadership communications, and they trained inside the pressure. And right there is the difference between planning and preparedness. Yes, that is the lesson. Now, too many leaders out there believe a very dangerous lie, and that lie is, we have a plan, therefore we're ready. I do hear this quite a bit, especially in businesses, schools, nonprofits, community organizations, and even from some families. They might say something like, we have an emergency plan, we have a policy, we have a procedure. Heck, we have a binder. And my response is always the same. Well, that's pretty good. But let me ask you something. Have you tested it? Ooh. Have your people practiced it? Do they know what to do under pressure? Because a written plan is not readiness. A written plan is simply documentation. Readiness is demonstrated in its performance. And there is a big difference. You don't discover readiness by writing it out. You discover if you're ready or not by testing it. And that is what the Connecticut National Guard understands. They understand something the military has known for generations. Stress changes performance. Now, ideally, we like to think otherwise, but the truth is that under pressure, people do not magically become better communicators. Oh, no, that's not true. They don't suddenly become calm and collected. Pressure, it will reveal the reality. It reveals your weakness, it exposes gaps, and it will definitely expose your assumptions. Now, there's a way to look at this, and number one is that is a gift to you. If you discover those weaknesses in training instead of during a real crisis, you're way above the power curve. That is why an exercise matters. That is why drills matter. That's why tabletop scenarios matter. Because crisis does not create character, crisis will reveal it. So let's talk specifically about communications. I mean, that's what this month theme is for me anyway, communications. Because communications is quite often the first thing that's going to break. Think about it. What happens during a disruption, something unnatural, something you didn't want to happen? Quite often, information starts moving fast. People are out there throwing spaghetti up the wall to see what sticks. And because of that, misinformation will move much faster. People will hear partial truths, and the rumors will begin. The emotions will rise. Questions will start stacking up. Who knows what happened? Who communicates first? What will we tell the employees? What do we tell the customers? What will we tell the parents? Parents, what are you going to tell your children? And if you're a business, what are you going to tell the media? Boom. Suddenly, what looked organized on paper becomes a mess in real life. Now, having an approval chain, and you know what I mean if you're in a business, it slows everything down. You have to wait for somebody to approve it, check it off, sign it off, dot the I, cross the T, and say it's okay. And leaders get overwhelmed. I mean, they're already busy enough as it is. But what if your technology fails? People start freezing up. And like I said earlier, if your communication breaks, trust will break right behind it. And that's why crisis communications is leadership communications. You can't really separate the two. You cannot have one without the other. People are always looking for a signal from the leader. They want clarity. They want confidence. They want direction, not perfection, direction. And this is where so many organizations misunderstand preparedness. Keep in mind, preparedness is not your ability to predict every possible disaster. That's never going to happen. It's impossible. You cannot predict everything. But what you can do is build the capacity to deal with what is happening. You can build resilience. You can build a decision-making capability. You can build communications discipline, because that is what preparedness is really all about. And that's leadership. Now, I really liked one additional detail from the Connecticut National Guard exercise. They incorporated simulated social media and AI generated scenario injects. And that was smart. You need to have a pre-planned script about what you're going to say to let people know that you know what you're doing. And I say pre-planned, you can't just poop it out in a heartbeat. You already need to know what it is. And yes, AI does work very well to help you create those things. Because when a modern crisis happens, they do not move at yesterday's speed, they move at digital speed. And your organization, your family is not just responding to the event anymore, you're responding to perceptions, anxiety, expectations, speculation, media pressure, and community trust all at the same time. Yeah, that is going to change everything, because a crisis can escalate in minutes. One post, one rumor, one misleading statement, one communication delay, and suddenly your challenge is not just operational, it becomes reputational. And that is why leaders need to stop asking weak questions. So, what is a weak question? Oh, I don't know. Do we have a plan? Bad question. You should know that. The stronger question is, can we lead when the plan breaks? That's the question you should be asking yourself. Because let me tell you something, from my own personal experience, your plan will break. They always do. The plan assumes certain conditions are happening. Real life changes those conditions, and they don't happen. The person assigned to communication may be unavailable. Power might be out. The internet could be down. Your primary leader may be unreachable. Your building might be inaccessible. Your assumptions may be wrong. So now what do we do? This is where your leadership shows up, where your culture shows up, where your preparation shows up. And that is why one of my favorite lines in my book is, when disruption comes, people do not follow binders, they follow leadership. I want you to soak that in for a minute, because this applies everywhere. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. It applies at home. It applies in the schools, in business, in government, in nonprofits. It applies in your family. People follow the leader who brings clarity to the uncertainty. If you're listening right now, I want to challenge you to ask yourself a question. When was the last time we twisted our communication plan? When was the last time we ran a realistic scenario? When was the last time we challenged our assumptions? And when was the last time we practiced making decisions under pressure? Now, if the answer is never, or it's been a while, then that's your next move. Not more paperwork, not another plan, not another policy. Practice. Stop filling up your binder. Start training. Stop the assumptions. Start testing. Because your preparedness is not about a document. The document's not going to prepare anything. Preparedness is the capability to follow through with an action when things are not happening the way you would like them to happen. So I'm going to close and say that I applaud the Connecticut National Guard for doing this exercise. Not because they proved they're perfect, because they proved they're serious about what they're doing. And serious leaders train before the disruption. They prepare before the chaos. That's what all great leaders do. They don't ask, do we have a plan? They ask, have we built leadership capability to perform when the plan fails? And that question changes everything. Because in the end, preparedness is not about controlling uncertainty. It's about leading through it. And that, my friends, is why plans alone do not prepare you. Keep in mind, preparedness is leadership. I'm Daniel, and I would like you to all please stay informed and stay safe. And I'll see you next time with my next episode of the Act ASAP podcast. Take care.